Mr. Sekulow.
Chairman Cruz, Ranking Member Coons, Senator Sessions, thank you for allowing me to appear on behalf of the American Center for Law and Justice and 185,000 of our members. I would like to call the committee's attention to a statement that was made by the Commissioner. With due respect, he made it several times. He said that there is no evidence whatsoever of outside influence on any of the matters involving the situation with the Internal Revenue Service. I call to the committee's attention an email from Lois Lerner dated Wednesday, March 27th, 2013. As I mentioned yesterday, and this is a quote, there are several groups of folks from the FEC world that are pushing tax fraud prosecution for C4s who report that they are not conducting political activity when they are, parentheses, or these folks think they are. One is my ex-boss, Larry Noble, who's testifying today, former general counsel at the FEC, who is now president of Americans for Campaign Reform. This is their latest push to shut down these groups. One IRS prosecution would make an impact, and they wouldn't feel so comfortable doing the stuff. So don't be fooled about how this is being articulated. It's all about 501c4s, orgs, and political activity from Lois Lerner. So this idea that there's no outside influence in this is nonsense. I represent 38 groups that were targeted by the Internal Revenue Service. That targeting, by the way, has not resulted in an end of all the cases. I've got 2 clients, one of which is waiting now for 6 years for a determination from the Internal Revenue Service. Let me also call, if I may, and by the way, I'm not sure that this is in the record, so I request from the committee that this email be made part of the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We sent a letter to the Department of Justice on June 18th, 2014, stating that we would no longer participate in having our clients interviewed by the DOJ for what I consider to be a faux investigation. And by the way, the President of the United States will go to television to state that there's not a smidgen of corruption. He said that a couple of years ago. Or more recently, that there's absolutely no evidence of wrongdoing, which is interesting because the Federal Bureau of Investigation is allegedly still investigating this matter and hasn't made a determination. So I don't know where the President is not speaking to the Department of Justice, but apparently that seems to be the situation. But there is another email. This email is dated May 9th, 2013. It is also from Lois Lerner. May 8th, 2013. I got a call today from Richard Pilger, Director, Elections Crime Branch at DOJ. I know him from contacts from my days there. He wanted to know who at IRS the DOJ folks could talk to about Senator Whitehouse's idea at the hearing that DOJ could, these are her words again, piece together false claim cases about applicants who, quote, lied, end quote, on their 1024s, saying they weren't planning on doing political activity and then turning around and making large, visible political expenditures. DOJ is feeling like it needs to respond, but wants to talk to the right folks at IRS to see whether there are impediments from our side and what, if any, damage this might do to IRS programs. I told him that it sounded like we need several folks from the IRS. The response from Nicole Flack was, I think we also need to include CI, which of course is the Criminal Investigation Division. So the Department of Justice was part of this from the beginning. So this idea that the Department of Justice is engaged in this independent inquiry is nonsense. And the fact of the matter is, as the GAO said a few days ago, quote, unfortunately, the IRS has not taken sufficient steps to prevent targeting Americans based on their personal beliefs. And let me close with this, if I may. During the oral arguments in the Z Street case, Chief Judge Garland said the following to the IRS attorneys. In this case, of course, the Z Street case, very similar to a targeting situation as we have here. I think if I were you, this is what the judge said, I would go back and ask your superiors whether they want us to represent that the government's position in this case is that the government is free to unconstitutionally discriminate against the citizens for 270 days. I would be stunned if the current Attorney General agreed with that, or the last Attorney General, or the one before that, or the one before that, or anyone. That can't be the position. Now, do you want to think about it again, whether you really want that to be your position? The response from the DOJ lawyer was, that is basically our position. They did not remove from that at all. I'd just like to say, Senator, I appreciate you holding these hearings, and I appreciate everyone's participation. This is a really serious problem. We've been litigating now for a couple of years, and there are still clients that have not had redress. Thank you.
I'd like to thank each of the witnesses who has come forth for your powerful testimony, and particularly for those who have been improperly targeted for your political views. I'd like to apologize on behalf of the United States government.